everyone. It is Jen with the Intuitive Readers Guild, and today we have Jenna Matlin with us. I'm so excited. She is a professional tarot reader. She is also an author of 2 books, Have Tarot Will Travel and Have Tarot Will Party. Hi, Jenna.
Hey, how's it going, Jen?
I'm so excited. I've been wanting to talk to you forever.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here too. It's wonderful to talk shop with other tarot pros.
Oh, it makes me
Yeah.
so happy. So you read tarot professionally.
Mhm.
You have 2 books that you've written, which I love and adore. I recommend them to everyone.
Thank you.
And let's see what else. You have a weekly newsletter that you put out. You also do a monthly virtual get together for professional tarot and intuitive readers in general, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't
Mhm.
have just to be tarot. Yeah, tell me about everything that you're up to.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, there's a lot. Um, yeah, I mean, I read professionally. I have an office in Durham, North Carolina, but the coronavirus being what it is, I'm now strictly online for the duration. So that's video and phone. And then on top of that, I have the 2 books. I have a weekly Fortune Friday newsletter that's a huge hit. And that goes out to clients and people that are interested. And then I also have a monthly free Zoom, spiritual entrepreneurs chat where we just have a topic and we talk about it. And then from there, I do private coaching of that. I also teach tarot classes, and then I have another tarot divination class newsletter that I send out once a month. So a lot of moving parts, definitely keeps me busy.
And so also what I love that you do, in addition to running your own business, you have been really active in helping build the intuitive community, like helping bring everyone together, help supporting other tarot readers, other intuitive readers. You have, like you said, you have your Zoom get together, which I've been to and I love, because you have people from all over, from every little part of the world, and then who specialize in different modalities, tarot,
Mm-hmm.
oracle cards, and it's just awesome to have a place where you bring people together. Now, how did you get started in everything? How did you start in the whole tarot realm, if you will?
Well, you know what? I got a really great origin story, and all of it is true.
Ooh.
So, back at the precious age of, I think I had just turned 14. I'm from California originally. So, on the street that I lived on were 2 separate houses filled with drag queens. And
Love
they,
that.
yeah, and they kind of took me under their wing. And yeah, it was really like I have such a soft spot for drag queens. Um, but one of them bought me my first tarot deck at 14.
Oh, wow.
Um, Prior to that, I was actually reading palms starting from the age of 12. And I'm sure you understand when, one of the things is a lot of my clients ask me, when did you know you were
Mhm.
psychic? And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It was more of like, how did I know everyone else wasn't like this?
Exactly.
It's like the
I
opposite.
totally get that.
Yeah, totally. And also I say people that are naturally talented will naturally gravitate towards the things
Mhm.
that resonate with them. Someone who's good at music will probably pick up an instrument or sing. So all these precocious children that we know and love, the ones that are gravitating towards oracle cards, even when they're very young, or they think that they or believe, that they're getting channeled information or they're seeing a ghost. I tend to believe that.
Yeah.
And I feel like society tends to pummel it out of us.
Mhm.
So anyways, at 14, I get the deck. Within 6 weeks, I had the whole thing memorized. I was on a mission. But it was hard at first because I was clairvoyant before tarot. So I had to really learn, I had to build a relationship with my deck. And that means building a lexicon with it in the way that we speak to one another. So then in October of that year, I did my first party, which was the Drag Queens' Victor Victoria party for Halloween.
Oh,
And I was hooked, and I couldn't believe it. These grown people are listening to the advice that the tarot has to give to a 14-year-old. Okay, whatever. So by 18, I was reading out of a New Age bookstore, like really part-time. But I realized it did not, while I had the talent, I didn't have the emotional intelligence yet to really handle what people come to me for.
Yeah.
So I read on the side, for friends and like ad hoc events until I decided to go full time in 2012, and that's when I started, and I've been full time ever since. So that's kind of the
That's
origin story.
that's fantastic. I love that. That's a great origin story.
Thanks.
And what do you think? How do you think you've progressed from being just like focusing on your business to wanting to help others? Like, how did that progression happen? I mean, your books really are, if you, no matter if you're a beginner, like just like, you know what, I think this would be kind of cool to do, or somebody who's been reading for a long time but just wants to switch up their game and add different services to what they offer. I mean, your books are awesome and they're just so supportive, So how did you kind of flow into that?
That's a really interesting question. The thing about me starting the business is prior to then, I'd mostly worked in nonprofits, I'd mostly worked in education. And part of me had, and I think a lot of readers have this, where it's like, ooh, business bad, business take advantage of people. Ew, I don't want to be like that kind of person.
I
And I
don't like
had
the whole money word.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I want to help. So I always had that. But what I found is when I started this business, it was like putting a duck into water. I was like, oh my God, I might be good at this. I like this. This is fun. And it gave me a life that I never could have had otherwise. No more, I don't know, am I allowed to drop?
Yeah, drop
Careful with
whatever
the
bombs you
bombs.
want to drop.
But it's like all the BS that you have to deal with in an office job or a regular job. And then when you're on your own, you're like, God, all of that was so petty and stupid. Like, why did I get wound up about these things? So for me, when I started in 2012, and then the first book, Have Tarot Will Travel, came out in 2014. So I almost started it really soon after really starting. And it was because I felt like there wasn't really, like there were some tarot business books out there, but they were very topical. They didn't really go deep. They didn't explain. And so it really was a gift to the community where I was like, I never want anyone ever have happened to them what has happened to me and all of the hard lessons I've learned. Because you and I talked about it, like, it upsets me that intuitive readers and tarot readers are given such a bad rap. We have such a PR problem, and people will often take advantage of that and treat us in a way that they would never in a million years treat any other business owner. So I wanted to help readers because a lot of readers particularly, and I don't want to say everyone is like this, but often there is an inverse relationship between how sensitive we are and also how hard it is for us to have boundaries and to say no. And I really did not want anyone to go through some of the things I went through. And looking back, I just could kick myself like the crap I put up with and allowed,
Right.
So that was really like the genesis and the desire, to put that out there. So that I feel like professionalizing what we do and shifting the cultural zeitgeist around what we do is very much what I'm totally passionate about because I feel like, the rising tide lifts all boats. And that's what I want. I want to do that. I want us to be seen with the same kind of, well, I think a good example is like massage therapists, like back in the 70s and whatever, they were like kind of quacky or like people thought they were like, oh, massage therapists. But now look, they're totally normed.
Yeah.
And I feel like readers are headed that way. And I want to be part of that tidal shift.
You totally are. Like all the positive things you're doing, I love it. I love it. There's enough room in this industry for everyone to collaborate instead of compete. We don't have to compete against each other. We can collaborate and, lift each other up and support each other. There's enough. We all bring something so different to the table. There really is no competition. It's, it's all about coming together and supporting one another. And I love that you do that and you do it well. So Have Tarot Will Travel is about doing festivals, like starting out on the festival scene and how to bring that into your business. And then Have Tarot Will Party is about doing the same thing, but with like doing parties and events, smaller events. Now, why did you focus on those two aspects?
When I started, it seemed like there was such a strong reader online presence that I felt that it would be more advantageous for me to do public first, because most clients, whether we like it or not, they think in person is better, even though you and I know that's not the case.
Yeah.
So part of like building a business is not what I necessarily want, but what the market or what people want. And then I'm going to deliver that to them. So the festivals were really like a low bar of entry, but like really helped me get my chops really good. And I highly recommend it. A lot of people who just stay online or they do just email readings, I noticed that their natural capabilities don't increase very fast. And as an intuitive reader, the more I'm thinking about something, the less I'm allowing the intuitive message to come through. It has to be fast.
Wow.
It has to be fast. So, as you know, so when you're working in a festival, and I specifically did not go to any psychic festivals because I was like, I'm not going to go to any of those until I can bring an A game with me. I'm not going to go like unless everything is set and I feel confident. So I was starting off like negotiating like $50 table fees for like the local art gallery, whatever.
Nice.
I was kind of fearless. I was just like, whatever. And then charging literally $5, $10 readings for 5 minutes. And that got my capabilities really, really strong. Because the thing that's cool about it is even if you flub up, it's a low stakes thing. Like you only have them for 10 minutes. They've only put maybe 10 or $20 into it. This is not going to, this is not a do or die situation. And it helped me learn how to deal with the public in this way, because we are in this really weird interstitial place between almost like a therapist where like people are spilling crazy private things, but then also entertainment, like who else has that? It's so weird.
It's like, it really is such a mix. Like, and it can go from like really like cheery and, oh, this is fun, to like super serious in a matter of seconds, or vice versa, and you have to learn how to be able to flow with that and kind of handle that situation.
Totally. And some readers are like, they kind of look there. I mean, everything is hierarchical, right? So some readers like, oh, I would never do public readings. I would never do festivals, and it's like, that's cool. But what I enjoy about it is I love street tarot in a way that someone who sits down at my table, and often I'd get a lot of people who've never had a reading before. And you see their worldview shift in 10 minutes in incredibly amazing ways. And I'm like, that's intoxicating.
Yeah. It's addicting. My favorite is like when you have like the old fella who sits down, arms crossed. My wife made me do this. And then by the end, he's like got tears in his eyes. And he's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It's so awesome and thrilling to see that shift in people, and how you can really change their perception of what we do. It's my favorite.
Me too. I think it's something really special and unique. And people like that will tend to get readings after that. They've had a good and amazing experience. So you're just hoovering up all these new clients that aren't in the industry, which is really nice. I mean, like you said, it's not competitive, but it's nice to build your people and do it your way. So like, I agree with you. Like competition it's not accurate. And I have to be honest, in the beginning, I did feel that way. And it really came from a place of fear. like that maybe I wasn't really good enough, or I wasn't really, maybe I was deluding myself, or, and maybe these other people are good and who am I? And you have all that inner saboteur stuff going on. But as I've got more confident, I saw that it doesn't really matter, that your people will gravitate towards you. It's just like a hairdresser, like I say, like a hairstylist. You got to find your person. And usually you're like, I'm sticking with them because they've done something good. And that's the other cool thing is over the last 7 years, I've had clients, through the full time, and just watching them from single to married to kids to whatever. And I feel like I'm in these strange, beautiful relationships that I so privileged to be able to be a part of,
It's something magical. It really is. Speaking of growing your business, doing events and such, I love how you have scaled your business with different services for your clients and just different services for the community in general. So in addition to the books, in addition to you have an awesome weekly newsletter. You have, like we said, your monthly Zoom meetup, which I love and adore. You also hold classes, and you have so many things going on. Tell us about your classes.
My classes are right now, they're all online. Before they were in person, and then I moved them online, of course, because of, coronavirus. I do a variety of different classes. I do, right now, there's a class coming up. It's called Surefire Spreads. And the idea of that is a lot of times, I feel like how I see tarot is sometimes taught it makes it harder on people rather than easier. And so as someone who I've lived in 3 different countries, I taught English as a second language. That really informed how I want to approach teaching tarot, because tarot is like a language. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I see spreads where it's like one card for this position, one card for that position, I feel like we're not really giving good enough tools for people to really feel fluent in tarot. So Surefire Spreads is a way to help people get fluent so that they're looking at the whole thing and able to pull it into a cogent narrative. For me, some of the things that I see, new readers really struggle with is the whole pull one card a day, which I think it's personally, like, don't shoot me, but I think it's bad advice because it makes things harder for new readers rather than easier. So one of the things I recommend is reverse engineering that. So I tell people, if you feel called to do one card a day, do it at the end of your day, asking what has happened. Then you have the context of being able to understand how your deck is talking to you. And then I tell people you have to get off book ASAP. And I tell them, buy those little Post-it note stickies and just put one word and then stick them on all of the cards. And as you have memorized them, pull the sticky off. The point is to get to comfort with it. Oftentimes people feel so insecure that they're like, they have to read one more book or do one more thing. And it's like, you have to trust yourself. That's the most important thing. And recognize when you're really getting an intuitive hit and it's not just your opinion. I think those things I teach in all of my classes, because confidence is important, but not too much confidence.
Can't be cocky.
Yeah.
You gotta trust in yourself and your ability.
Yeah, and realize when your own bias is actually getting in the way of the reading. And I have seen pro readers, and I'll watch them work, and I'm like, she's just giving her opinion. That's not what the reading, she's just saying, honey. And I know that's hard to do, right? So we're not being hired to give our opinion. We are being hired to listen to some kind of ineffable mystery that is in service to the person who's sitting across from us. And as long as we're continuing to be connected to that, then we really can't go wrong. That's my guiding light. It has been my guiding light.
So true. So true. So you've added all these things to your business. Like, how important do you think it is for new readers and established readers to actually scale their business with like different services so they're not just doing one-on-one reads?
So scalability is really important because as you're adding more income streams, what you're doing is you're stabilizing your income from months to months. If you're just doing one thing, then you're going to see bigger swings and month to month. But what I find is that when I say that my one-on-ones, they tend to get slow around the holidays and they tend to get slow in the summertime. Well, that's when I can do a special class to bring people on. That's when I might do a mastermind group. Holiday parties, like when you're adding more income streams, it's really about trying to modify that income every month. And it protects you from what is a risky business, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I tell, my mentees is you have to find comfort with uncertainty. And if you're the type of person who will freak out if you're not making that paycheck every 2 weeks, knowing exactly what's on that check, this may not be for you. This
So true.
requires a lot of financial management skills, which anyone can learn. Like I now, invest my own retirement. I learned so much about that and I feel so empowered. I've had to learn bookkeeping. I've had to learn how to save. I feel like I'm a better person for having had my own business and more, educated and more well-rounded. So when we're going to scale our business, we have to be open to stepping into and learning skill sets that may be uncomfortable for us.
And it's such a valuable lesson to learn. Instead of having those income highs and lows, scaling and adding different services, it just keeps it nice and smooth. And also, I think it's a great way to practice your skills in different ways. And I think that's, it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you nice and fresh and, lets you really work out your gift and your talent in a way that you just can't if you're constantly doing one thing,
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about people who are just starting out, what are like what would you say your top 2 tips are to somebody who's just growing their business?
Well, there are two biggest factors to success, and it has nothing to do with how good you read. And the first one is making sure that your lifestyle and the people in your life are supporting you. If you've got a spouse who's like, what? You're doing what? And you've got kids, and you think, well, I'm going to be a mommy full time and then have a part time job. And then I'm going to somehow fit this business into all of that. This is not success. You have to see this business as yet another little infant that you have to nurture and grow. And in the beginning, it does require a lot of, like I say, it's like a rocket ship. Like you're trying to get out of orbit. You're trying to get into this new place. And it requires a lot of torque. It requires so much push to do it. And you have to have everything set up for that success. If you're single, you need to really understand whether A, you could have 2 full-time jobs for about a year so that you can transition, or you have the savings of about 6 months to a year so you can transition. That's real. And it's hard in America specifically because healthcare ain't easy. Like, our social safety net is thin. So that's the first one. And the second one, I think that they're equal. Like, there's not like, this is an inside job. And if you can't figure out a way to get out of your own way, to step aside and around that inner saboteur is going to fuck it up. For lack of
Truth. Such truth. 100%.
So it's like you have to not allow those inner thoughts to get in the way. And part of that is, first, you have to understand how that inner saboteur works for you. Because for some people, it'll show up as, Well, you need to take one more class, read one more book, do one more thing. And you're tricking yourself because you think you're being active, but you're not really building anything.
You're just
And then,
building that wall.
yep. And then the other one is just like kind of thinking that you could do this 2 hours a week and expect something. And then also really be humble with your expectations. One of the biggest factors I see that someone isn't going to make it is when they're doing those 2 hours a week. And then they're like, well, I'm going to be a reader for the Hollywood elite. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. So our inner saboteur will give us a goal that's so completely unobtainable that when we don't obtain it, we go, well, that was insane. Like, how would that happen? But when we give ourselves obtainable goals and then we don't make them, then that means we have to take a real clear inventory of what's going on internally.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really those two things. There's no like, here are your tips and tricks, because what I've learned is I could give you all of the tips and all of the tricks, but if you don't have these two things sorted, then it
Two
won't work.
foundations. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're two strong foundations. You're right. You'll just get in your own way and never get anywhere if it's truly what you want to do. And you're so right. Such good advice. Such good advice. So tell us, what do you have coming up? Tell us what you have coming up, where people can find you. Give us all the goods. I want people to be able to find you, Jenna.
Find me. Well, it's really easy. It's just my name, JennaMatlin.com. So that's JENNA. M as in mother, A as in apple, T as in Tom, L as in lemon, I as in ice, N as in Nancy.com, JennaMatlin.com. For right now, I'm starting to slide into that summer, like kind of thinking about summer and fall. So right now, I only have Surefire spreads on deck, but the other classes I'll have will be in the fall. And I may have some things in summer. I don't have it planned yet. Just with the coronavirus and the pandemic, I'm kind of feeling my way through and seeing what feels capable for people. A lot of people are having a really hard time with focus right now. So I do want to honor kind of where they're at. But yes, I have my monthly Zoom meetings. Anyone is more than welcome to sign up through my website. They're free. There's no strings attached. I've been doing it for like a year and a half. And honestly, it's like, whatever, show up, awesome, don't, awesome. And then my Fortune Fridays, if you want to get a taste of what that looks like, you can sign up. So also, I have another book that I'm working on.
Yay! Oh my gosh, that makes me excited. Okay, tell me. Share.
Well, I can't say too much about it yet, but it is something I'm working on. And like, fingers crossed, like the first two books are self-published. And the reason why they're self-published is I was told by some big name publishers that we all know the names of, that business books don't sell. So that's why I said,
would be wrong.
I'm like, well, if you see my data, they do, but it's not generic enough, right? It's niche within a niche.
Yeah.
So right now I'm trying to formulate something that can be published and work with a publisher, because I feel like working just with Amazon, it's limited exposure. And I really want that to be available to people.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on too.
I'm so excited about that.
Oh, thanks.
Well, huge congrats on everything that's happening. Thank you so much for joining us. I love and adore you. You already know that. Seriously, y'all have to go to her site, sign up for her newsletter, and definitely come to one of her Zoom meetings. I will be there. I try to come as often as I can. It's been a little wonky the last couple of months, but I'm hoping that I will be at the next one. So I hope to get to see you guys there. Jenna, thank you. We love you. You are fantastic. And everyone, have a great rest of the day. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.